I could eat a horse.
Hello and welcome to Curious Monkey Gaming, and welcome to this medieval dynasty beginner-friendly Let's Play. This is the second episode. In the first episode, we started a brand new village after the autumn update. We built a house, which we screwed up.
Damn it!
And then we rebuilt the house so that we have a little start of a little village going. This episode, we're going to expand the village, harvest the flax, make some money off of that, and many other things. I hope you enjoy. So, welcome to year one summer. If you noticed, before I went to bed, before Bogusz went to bed, he had very little in his food bar, and he said he was famished. This is a good tip. Don't bother to eat or drink towards the end of a season. If it's really close to the end of the season, you're just wasting your food and your water and also your health potions, because you will wake up at the beginning of the new season with full health, full food, and full water. So it's a way to save yourself a little on resources. So what have we got? We've got, first of all, the first day of summer. And I talked about flax in the last episode. If you are watching this and you haven't seen the first episode and you're new to the game, you probably want to watch the earlier episode. So we planted flax and our field is totally flaxed up.
Boiling.
And we are getting temperature warnings. So Bogusz says he's boiling. Temperature is a good thing to have a look at. So if we open our menus and we go to the the inventory tab, we can see down in the bottom right, there is, first of all, the temperature is shown. And if we're wearing clothing that protects, you can see it, for example, in my shirt. It says +2 heat protection, +4% cold protection. The shoes are +2% heat and +8% cold. And the trousers are also +2% heat and +4% cold. Temperature is not a thing to worry about in your first season. Spring is easy. But in your first summer, you'll start getting warnings about clothing. Well, particularly warnings about temperature. Your character will start saying, "I'm boiling," or other things. And you want to make sure that they have the right kind of clothing. In summer, it's not really a big deal. The summer heat is usually not enough that you're actually going to take damage from it. But if we go back here and we look down in the bottom left, there is a temperature gauge there now, the small circle. If that gets up into the red, it's dangerous. It will actually start damaging you. And we don't want that. Summer, though, doesn't usually get hot enough that you need to worry about that. So you can relax about the clothing for now, but in winter, it can be a real problem because it will be cold enough outside that if you're wearing what I'm wearing now, which is the basic clothing that you start with, you will start taking damage. One way around that in winter is to carry a torch, but we'll get to that in the winter episode. We'll deal with that when the time comes. So what we want to do now is, first of all, last episode we built a woodshed for a woodcutter. We're currently not really using it because we don't have a woodcutter. We built a second house here for the woodcutter to live in, which is cool. And we have flax over here that we want to harvest and sell. And we need to get that woodcutter into the house and into the woodshed so that they can start working, which just makes building things so much quicker and easier. So the first thing I'm going to do is harvest the flax.
It's hot.
We want to do that because we want to take it into town and sell it. And town is where we also are going to recruit our woodcutter. So in order to harvest the flax, it's extremely annoying at the beginning, to be honest, because what you need to harvest grains is a stone sickle. If you happen to have a lot of money because you've been thieving or something, you can buy a better sickle than that. But right at the beginning, since I have decided not to steal,
I should take some
and I don't have
clothes off.
crazy amounts of money, and I want to save money, I'm going to do it the hard way. And the hard way is with the stone sickles. Stone sickles break if you look at them. So I'm going to need, I think for my 5x10 field, I think I'm going to need 5 or 6 stone sickles. I got a new level of survival. What I often do specifically with survival is I take insensitive, because insensitive gives you, for each level you take, gives you 2 degrees of temperature tolerance. This helps with the first winter quite a bit. Or at least it did before the update. I'm not sure if they changed anything there. But I might take a point in insensitive, maybe 2 points, and that just gives us a little more leeway if we don't manage to get a full winter outfit. So I'm picking up sticks and stones so that I can handcraft stone sickles. And I can make 6, which is perfect. I'll make 6 of those and then I'll harvest all of this flax. Further down the game, I need to put that in my wheel. So I'll put it there and equip it. And you'll see in a minute, it just breaks so often, so many times. So what we want to do when we're doing the farming ourselves is, first of all, you just go up to it and swing with the right trigger. And it harvests it. And you see in the upper left how much you're getting. And you can also see in the bottom right how quickly the durability of a stone sickle goes away. They are garbage. Okay, so I just unlocked the hen house, which I can build and go buy chickens, and they will give me eggs and feathers. But for now, we're going to concentrate on the flax. So further down the game, when you start getting metal tools, you start being able to make your own metal tools, or you go buy them, you can get a copper sickle, which is better, but not much better than a stone sickle. And then eventually you get the grail of all farming tools, which is the bronze scythe. A scythe is a really big thing for taking out, or harvesting, I should say, grain. And it's a pleasure to use, especially if you've gone through many stone sickles already. So I'm just going to harvest all of this. I broke 6 stone sickles and I'm not even done yet. My goodness. As I said, stone sickles are garbage. I think they programmed it specifically so that stone sickles would be so bad that it would feel wonderful once you got anything better than a stone sickle. So I need more sticks and more stones. There's a stone, there's a stone, there's a stone. I think over here I picked up a broadleaf plantain, which is good, but it's not what I wanted. Sticks, sticks, stone, stone, and so on. The reason we're doing this ourselves, I said it in the first video. Well, first of all, we don't have any villagers yet. in the near future, we can make villagers do this annoying, tedious work for us. And we will do that as soon as we can. But for now, it's actually good to do it because you will unlock technology. You get technology points and you get farming experience points, farming technology points. And those unlock new things that you can build, new skills that you can get, and so on. It's good to have those because let's just quickly make some more sickles. That should hopefully be enough for the end of this field. Yeah, we're very close to finished with this field. So yeah, the technology points, you get them when your peasants, your villagers work for you, but you get a lot less than when you do things yourself. So especially at the beginning, I always do lots of farming by myself because it unlocks lots of useful things, like the hen house we unlocked a minute ago. The thing I'm really excited for is, first of all, the pigsty. Not that I'm super excited about pigs, but the cool thing about the pigsty is the pigs produce manure, which doesn't sound very cool, but it is, because you can turn manure into fertilizer for your fields. And the second thing I'm really excited about is the donkey stall, or whatever it's called. Once you get that, you can ride around and your donkey can carry things, and all of that is really, really useful. I'm just putting these stone sickles in the box in the barn. So yeah, and once you get a donkey, he can carry a lot and you can ride around, which is a lot faster than running around. So it makes, for example, going to the village Piastovia to sell things makes it much easier. So we're over here at the threshing floor, and the threshing floor is where you separate grains into their component parts. So we're creating flaxseed by doing this. Oops, sorry. I hit the wrong button. So our buddy has a stick with a stick attached to it with a rope, and this is called a flail. And by threshing the grain, I created flaxseed and flax stalk. Now, if we had a sewing hut, we will have a sewing hut in the future, but if we had a sewing hut, we could turn the flax stalk into a whole bunch of linen thread. But we don't have a sewing hut yet, so we can't do that. And we also created flaxseed. So it takes the flax and turns it into flaxseed and flax stalk. The flaxseed we're going to keep just because we don't want to have to buy more to plant more fields. And we're going to have, right now we have one 5x10 field. Pretty soon we'll probably have 2 or 3 5x10 fields, and it's good to have the flaxseed. We have almost enough for 3 fields, so that's a good start. The flax stalk sells for 5 each. It says 5 here, it sells for 2.5 each. But that's actually, when you've got 290 of them, that's actually a good bit of money. So let's take that to town. First of all, I'm going to go up to the resource storage back here. Oh, and I forgot. First thing in the morning, check the traps. Bird trap is empty. Rabbit trap is empty. That's fine. And we're gonna drop off these sticks and these stones. Don't need to be carrying those around. And that's fine. So we're gonna run over there because we do not have a donkey yet. The other thing that is important in summer, the only real effect of it being hot, as you can see, the heat gauge down in the bottom left is all the way at the beginning. So it doesn't really make any difference to me. If it got very advanced, it would be dangerous. but it's very low. I'm going to drink some water because that's the effect of it.
Roasting out here.
When you are really hot, you lose water much quicker. You sweat, and I mean, it's pretty realistic. When it's really hot, you need to drink more. So your water gauge does go down a lot faster when it's in summer. Otherwise, it doesn't really make that much of a difference unless it gets crazy hot. I don't know if they fixed it in the autumn update, but before the update, your character would often say, I need to take some clothes off. Do not do that, because the clothing is actually heat protection. And when you take your clothes off, you have less protection from the heat than if you have some clothing on and your clothing has good heat protection. So it's actually kind of a stupid thing that your character says every now and then, that he needs to take clothes off, because that will actually make him hotter, not cooler. I don't know if that's been changed in the update. Anyone knows, they can let me know in the comments. It's possible. I can imagine that someone eventually noticed that that was actually kind of dumb. But maybe not. I don't know. So, let's get over to Piastovia and sell some flax stock. In the future, you will never sell flax stock. You will always use it to make linen in your sewing hut. And with the linen thread, you can make linen fabric. And with the linen fabric, you can make clothing, and you can sell clothing for a lot of money. It's the main way I usually earn money in most of my playthroughs, is with flax and clothing eventually. So let's go over here and buy some cabbage seed and some manure.
Living in a smaller village must
And we
be
can
so
make,
dull.
we can get a new field going. So the guy you want, oh, he's not here. The guy you want is Markoslav. If you use your inspector mode, you can look around and see if you can find him. I don't see him. I can actually sell to anyone. This is another good thing to know. Anyone will buy anything. There we go. 725 coin if I sell 290 flax stock. Yes, thank you. So we now have 1,700 coin,
To see my word.
which is good. So where is Markoslav? There he comes. He's just slow getting to work.
Oh, it's
So we want cabbage seed. We want 50 because we only have one field, which will take 50. Cabbage can feed your villagers, which is really useful. It's not great food, but like I said, villagers don't really care about food. So we're going to take all of his manure. We're going to take, we did it in last episode, 80 manure, which is what he had, makes 40 fertilizer. Our field is 50 large, so we need 10 more fertilizer. Boom.
my wares.
And we're done with him. Now, one of the things I always really look forward to in any playthrough
Is it good?
is getting more carrying capacity. If we go over to this lady, Imislava, she sells clothing and bags. We have 1,163 coin. And if we go down, we go down her list, she has a simple large backpack, which we can just afford. We're going to take it because it adds, actually it doesn't say down below anymore what it adds. That's interesting. It used to say in the description, I think, how much carry weight it added. But we're gonna buy that. And the important thing to know, when you have bought something like that, you have to equip it. Bags and things are under clothing, and you have to just select it, and then it increases our carrying capacity from 35 to 55. So it adds 20 kilo carrying capacity, which is awesome. And then you see a little backpack on your back. You can, I've never actually done this. In fact, on a console, I'm not sure you can do it, or at least I don't know how to do it. You see the backpack on our back. It's got the buttons. Let's see. I can, there we go. So if you go down the list, this is new since the autumn update. You go down the list, you select the simple large backpack and you hit Y, it hides it. So if you don't want to see it on your character's back, you can hide it. I will leave it hidden for now. And we have cabbage seed, and we have manure, and we have fertilizer. So we are ready to plant our field again. But while we're here, if you look up on the top at the compass, you see those little icons for people? Those are potential villagers. Those are your potential future villagers. And this is the main thing we're going to worry about in this episode. We have no villagers so far. Our village is just me, just Bogusz. And we'll look at the management tab quickly. If you look on the top right of the management tab, you see a bunch of different little text things. One of them is Dynasty reputation. You need Dynasty reputation to hire villagers. You get Dynasty reputation by doing quests. So your first villager, you can hire from the very beginning, no problem. Your next villager, I think, your second villager will tell you your Dynasty reputation has to be at least, I think, 400. We'll see that in this episode. But they will tell you how much Dynasty reputation you have to have before you can hire them. Next to that, you see taxes. Taxes is calculated based on the buildings you've built, the fields you've planted, all of that sort of stuff. Development stage is just what they call a certain size of settlement. Population, I have 1, me. Workers, I have none because I haven't hired any villagers. Buildings, I've built 6. I can build 70. You can increase that in the customized game settings. I think you can put it up to 200%, so you can put it up to 140. Food, it shows me on the left how much I have. On the right, what the demand for food is. What it's measuring as far as what I have is not what's in my inventory, it's what's in my food storage. I haven't built a food storage yet, so it's showing me 0. Water is also in the food storage, so I have 0 because I have no food storage, and the demand is 0 because I have no villagers. And wood is how much firewood is in the resource storage. I did make firewood, so it's 166, and the demand is 0 because I have no villagers. This will all change as soon as I hire a villager, which we're about to do. So when you go over here, you can talk to any of them. What I usually do first is look at them with inspector mode. And when you're pointing at them, you can see what skills they have. So from the left to the right, it's extraction, hunting, farming, diplomacy, survival, and production. So this woman has 3 extraction, which means she would be a good woodcutter or miner. This guy has a 3 in hunting, so he would be a good hunter. This guy has a 3 in extraction and production, so he's actually pretty cool. And over here we have no 3s at all. So what I always look for at least a 3 in the thing I need in my village right now. I have built a woodshed. So one of the things I need definitely right now is extraction. This guy has got a 3 in extraction, which is awesome. I then also look for people that have multiple 3s. This means you could move them to another job and maybe use them for farming at certain seasons and then move them into production or extraction or whatever in another season. This guy has 3 in extraction, 3 in production, which is pretty cool. I could use him as a blacksmith and as a tree cutter, for example.
Great power comes great
So I'm going to hire this guy.
Hello.
seems to be doing just fine.
So when you open it up, you have you heard anything interesting recently? And he'll tell you, Ostoya, I heard someone has a quest for you. Basically, the answer to have you heard anything interesting recently is always somebody has a quest for you somewhere, unless nobody has a quest for you anywhere. You can also ask them, where can I find? And you can ask them specific things. So let's say I wanted to buy chickens. He'll tell me, go to Skalki. I want to buy pigs. Go to Klonitsa. That can be really useful if you're looking to find certain things. Small talk is a way to figure out what kind of a personality this person has. This doesn't matter unless you're romancing someone. Same-sex romances, unfortunately, do not exist in the game. I think they should because that suits the way a lot of people would like to play. But if you're male, your character's male, you can only romance a female character. So, and the other way around. So you want to figure out their personality. You say, what's on your mind lately? And they'll tell you something that you can interpret in a certain way. So he says, life in here is a never-ending story of labor and craft. If you're hardworking and meticulous, you will always stay occupied here. But don't worry, you will get accustomed eventually. So it sounds like he's a hard worker. You say, how's your day going? It's the halfway point of the year. Think how much labor has already been done up till now. Now imagine the same amount of work is still ahead of us. Get to work. So again, he's telling us how hardworking he is. He can tell you about his skills. Crafting never ends, the need for various resources growing on and on. That's fine for me, as I like to stay occupied. So he's telling us that he's a hard worker, but he's also telling us he's good at crafting things. This is semi-useful. When you ask about their skills, they will only tell you about one skill. But we already saw with the inspector mode that this guy has 2 skills at level 3, and he doesn't mention extraction. Does anything give you a hard time? Again, this is basically detective work on the personality. I always get to the point straight away, so I'm not good at bargaining. Just don't have the patience to argue. So really what he's saying there is he's bad at diplomacy, the diplomacy skill. So if we go back, I'm not interested in romancing him, and I can't because I'm male and he's male. So I'm going to tell him I'm creating a new settlement and I'm looking for good people willing to join me. And he says, count me in. It's not every day that you hear that you're a good person. Great. See you there. Now, the first time you play, something is going to happen which is probably going to confuse you as soon as you recruit your first villager. And that is, when I close this, up in the left, I'm suddenly confronted with 4 red icons. This is not a problem if you've prepared for it. So what those icons mean is, from left to right, it means one person doesn't have a house, one person doesn't have food, one person doesn't have water, and one person doesn't have firewood. And you might be thinking, well, I cut firewood in the last episode and I put it in the resource storage. What the hell? This is where the management tab comes in. So let's go into the management tab. The management tab is very important and a little complicated, so bear with me. We go into the management tab. From left to right, you will see a list of the people that are your villagers. So now I hired Milan. He's on the list. It shows you the buildings in your village. So I have 2 houses. One of them is mine. It has the little blue, light blue icon on it. That one's mine. The other one, you can see in the people column, it's empty. You can also see, for example, I have 2 extraction buildings, a well, and a woodshed. And I have 1 barn, and I have 1 resource storage. Okay. The next tab over, you see we have a field. And that field, if you click on it, you can see what's currently happening with that field. So it says current crop status, unfertilized. And once it's been plowed and sown, it'll change color. Once it has something planted in it, it will show you what's planted in it, and so on. We'll go into crop management later. We're not going to deal with it right now. Maybe in the next video, I'll get into that in a bit more detail. I don't want to overwhelm you with the management tab right now. If we had animals, we would see them here. And this is demand control. So I recommend at the beginning, at least going down to wood and turning off sticks, logs, and planks. So what this means is demand control is people will use these things if they're turned on. So in wood items, they will burn firewood for warmth. If I didn't turn these off, they would burn sticks, logs, and planks also. And we don't want that because we need to use sticks, logs, and planks to build things. So we turn those off. Water items, there's a lot of them. They're not actually water, they're basically liquid, but I generally turn off everything except a bucket of water. Because all of these other things are either things that I want to use for my character, or they're things that I'm producing later in the game, producing to sell. And if people are drinking them, I am not making money off of them. So I always go through and turn all of these off. For example, if you found an oat ale somewhere, which you can sell for quite a lot of money, and you put it in your food storage and you had this on, a villager would drink it and you couldn't sell it. So this is something I always do. Go through here and turn everything off. Likewise, the fruits, when you start growing fruit, you might want to keep plums to make plum juice and to make plum wine. If you don't turn that off, your villagers will eat it. So, I turned all of those off. It's important to make sure you don't turn every single one off. I always leave bucket of water on, so that when I have buckets of water, the villagers will drink that water. Food items is the same thing. It's going to show you a list of food items, almost all of which you've never even seen before. What I like to do just right from the beginning is turn off raw foods, which is the fish. There are 3 different kinds of fish: pike, perch, and roach. Roach is there. I like to turn off raw meat. I like to turn off dried fish meat and raw fish meat and salted. Dry meat I turn off. Roasted fish meat I turn off. Because these are all things that are useful for you or that are good to sell. I turn off flatbread because we will make a lot of flatbread to sell later. Roasted meat, leave on, that's fine. Again, it's got the juices in here. I turn those off. And it's got all of the alcohol in here. I turn those off. I turn off eggs because generally if you have eggs, you are collecting them to make something else out of them. So I turn those off. Oat ale, oat beer. I mean, really, you could almost go through here and turn all of them off and only turn on things that you want them to eat. That would maybe be a better approach. But for now, that's probably fine. Let me just check. I mean, at the beginning, all we're going to be feeding them at the very beginning is cabbage. So we could almost turn everything off except cabbage and turn things on in the future, but you can do that how you like. So if we go back to our people list, we see his name is Milan. He's 29 years old. His mood is -1. If a villager's mood gets to -100, they will leave your village. So keep that in mind. His mood is -1 though, because he doesn't have, as we see with the red icons on the right side, he doesn't have a house or food or water or firewood. That's really easy to solve. We also see his skills. So if I click on him or select him with A, I have his house at the top, empty, and his workplace, also empty. So to be happy, really basically happy, a villager needs a house, a place to work, and that place to work should be in one of their highest skills. So in this case, he has extraction 3 and production 3. He should be extracting or producing somewhere. So give him a house, simple house, yes, and give him a workplace. We want him to be in the woodshed. It shows you, for each building, it shows you what his level in the corresponding skill is. So the barn is farming, he has a 2. The well and the woodshed are extraction, he has a 3. The well, you can put someone on that, and if you give them empty buckets in the resource storage, they will fill them with water. In the early game, it's totally irrelevant. Right now, what we want is for sure a lumberjack in the woodshed. So you select the woodshed, it shows you there's an empty slot, you click it again, and Milan is now assigned to the woodshed. So now you can see the icons next to his house there on the right side have changed to food, water, and firewood. Firewood will update right after we exit this menu. It doesn't, time is frozen while you're in the menu, so it doesn't do that yet. It doesn't update yet. The house did update because it knows he has a house. We just assigned him to a house. So at the top in red, it says no food, no water, no wood. In a minute, the wood will go away because we have firewood, but we need to put food and water in his house, in the box, in the chest, because we don't have a food storage yet. We'll get to that in a minute. So when we exit this, the icons in the top left will change. There you go. House and firewood disappeared. And now he is only missing food and water. We will solve that in a moment. I'm going to go back into Piastovia because if you remember at the beginning of last episode, the first episode, I left some things in the chest in Piastovia. The chest is over here by Sedwin's house, which is down here downstairs, and it's the second house, and there's a chest in the back there. So I left a bucket in there, which is important because we are going to fill that so that our buddy has some water. I'm going to take the copper hoe now. I'm going to take the potions. I'm going to take the bag. And these things I just don't want, so I'll just leave them there. That, by the way, is a chest that you can always use forever. And you can put things in it as well as take things out of it anytime you want. It works like any other chest. I think it has 50 kilograms capacity. And you can use it later in the game. It can be useful if you're in Piastovia and you're carrying too much and you don't want to lose it. You can go and throw it in that chest. So now I'm going to jog back to our village. Those notifications in the top left, the main thing they mean, or the main thing the ones that are there mean right now, is something important. So, like I said, if our new villager Milan gets too pissed off, if he gets to minus 100 happiness, he's going to leave the village. But that doesn't go super fast. There's a rabbit. I think it's rabbit punching time. He's not going to leave that soon, right? We just went for a little jog around Piastovia and we're on the way back to the village. And if we check on him again, he's at -3% happiness. So not that bad. And we see now that extraction has a green highlight. That means he's working an extraction job. So as you can see, it's going to take a really long time until he gets to -100. So we don't have to absolutely freak out and panic. We have a little time to work on satisfying his needs. I'm running across country just to save time. Little shortcut. It can be dangerous if doing this. It's generally safer to stick to the roads. The roads are not 100% safe. Sometimes bandits will jump out and attack you, or a wolf is close to the road and will attack you. But running across country can be a lot more dangerous because you can suddenly run into a pack of wolves right into the middle of them, and they will probably kill you early in the game.
It's hot.
Yes, Bogusz, it is hot. I know. Don't worry, man. You'll be fine. So once we get back to the village, we will fill a bucket of water and put it in his house. We have some roasted meat in our very large pockets, and we'll put that in his house, and then he'll be fine for a little while. And we'll also drink because it's hot and our water level is pretty low.
Damn. It's hot.
Yes, it is hot, Bogusz. Let me guess, you were roasting, perhaps. So now that we're at the village, we can go with an empty bucket in our inventory. We can hit craft and then select bucket, and it will fill the bucket with water. For some reason, the well is a really good place to rank up extraction.
Should take some clothes up.
So it's not a bad idea early on to build a bunch of buckets and just fill them up. So this was confusing to me at the beginning. When you have a bucket, it appears under tools if it's empty. But once you fill it, it's counted as food, so it appears under food. So put that in there, and that notification in the top left goes away because Milan now has a bucket of water. We can give him, let's go to food. We have, we just took out a rabbit, so let's cook the rabbit meat. And we can give him all of this roasted meat. Food that goes off, like meat, goes off between seasons. During a season, where on the first day of the season, it's going to be fine for the season. So now that food notification went away and Milan is happy. When it's now after hours, Milan is off work. I don't know where he is. You can also find your villagers with inspector mode. Oh, he's still walking. They actually walk in real time from wherever you recruit them to your village. That is one of the many weirdnesses of villagers, but we'll ignore that for now and take a nap. Well, go to sleep for the night. It's been a big day. So, good morning. There he is. There is Milan. And your villagers have a little sort of routine. They kind of go for a walk in the morning. So he's going to walk off here somewhere and he's just going to stare out at the landscape. It's a pretty view. I can understand. How you doing? Milan? Yeah, all good? Cool. So he's going to stand there for a little while, and then he's going to walk over here and go to his job in the woodshed. But before he can do that, we have a little problem. Milan, to do wood cutting, needs axes. I say plural because he will go through them. Whoops, I thought that was the resource storage for a minute. He will go through them. They have low durability if they're stone axes, and he will use them up. So what we do to make sure that he can keep working is we go in here, wait a sec, we look in handcrafting. So left bumper, right bumper, handcrafting, axes. I need sticks and stones. So we go into the chest, we go to resources, we take all the sticks and all the stones that we can, and we craft as many axes as we can. I can only make 2 at the moment, which isn't great, but it will keep him busy for a while. And then we go and put all the stone axes, all the new stone axes anyway, I'll keep 1 for myself. We put 2 stone axes in the chest for him, in the resource storage. Anything that's in the resource storage can be accessed by anyone in the village, any villager. So the tools in the resource storage, he can access them from where he is. And the other thing that's good to know, this is one of the weirdnesses of villagers. The fact that he's walking over here and doing nothing doesn't matter. The work he's doing is happening in abstract in the background. Let me explain. So if we open up management and we go, well, first of all, we see that his mood's improving because he has food and water and firewood and a house and suitable employment. So if we go to extraction and we go to the woodshed, every building, or every production building or extraction building, when you open it, first of all, it shows you what tools are needed. So once he officially starts working and he finishes his morning break, the axe will show the durability, but only shows that while he's working. So that's up the top. And then we have him, and we see who he is, who's working there. And the first level woodshed can only have 1 worker. And then we see apprentices. That's a longer term thing. When children start to be born in the village and a child gets to be, I believe, 14 years old, you can assign them as an apprentice. And then they learn in whatever building they are assigned to. If we go over 1, we see there are no assignments, and this is important to do right at the beginning. You can put a villager on a woodshed, for example, and they will do nothing because you haven't given them any assignments. Assignments, if we hit Y, we open the assignments, and you can say all of these things should potentially be extracted by the people in the woodshed. I'm going to turn off spruce bark, and I'm going to turn off firewood. Spruce bark we don't need at all until later. It's only used in dyeing, which is new in the autumn update. Firewood in the early game is much, much quicker and easier to make it yourself. I'll turn off planks for right now because we also don't necessarily need to build with planks right now. But logs and sticks are our primary building materials at the moment. So we hit Y to accept, and then they go over here. But still, Milan is not going to do those things for us because, as you can see, it says status paused, intensity 0. So if we hit A on one of these, we go into intensity editing mode. So this is probably the trickiest part, but once you get it, it's pretty cool. So if I put this up to 60% intensity, you can see on the right side, it says total, which is per day. So Milan will produce a bit more than 16 logs a day. And that's what I mean, it's abstract. It's just doing pure math. It's not logical that anyone is creating 16.28 logs per day, but that's what he'll do. So if we put up sticks for the remaining 40%, he'll be producing a bit more than 44.5 sticks a day. So let's leave it at that for now. That's fine. Usually what I do early game is build 2 woodsheds and recruit 2 woodcutters. So I haven't got that yet, but I will eventually. Let's just leave him to work. As he works, whoops, and you have to hit A again on it to get out of the editing mode. So as he works, we'll see the durability of his axe go down. And he only has 2 axes right now, so I probably should make another axe for him. Anyway, we have a star in technology. I think we unlocked the simple house. I think that's what the star is there for. We also unlocked the herbalist's hut. We'll get to that later in another episode, I think. We also unlocked the hen house. And we unlocked the workshop a little while ago. So Milan is still on his morning break, but he will go over there and he will start creating logs and sticks for us. Do not forget, when you assign a person to a workspace, to also give them some assignments. It's very important, and it's a very common and easy to make beginner mistake. Not even beginner. I've been playing this game for quite a while and I forget that all the time. So first we need to go in here and create some more fertilizer. We have manure, which will create 40 fertilizer. And now we have, if we go over to our inventory and we look in the resources, we have 50 fertilizer. If we go in here, we have a bag and we have hose. We're going to need those. In fact, we're probably going to need more bags, and I don't have any leather to make them. I'm just going to go into the resource storage quickly and dump some of the materials I'm holding. Ah, look, we have a bird and a rabbit. Make sure both of those traps are armed. We looked at traps in the first episode, previous episode. So we don't need feathers right now. We don't need to be carrying sticks and stones and all of that other stuff. We have 50 cabbage seed, 50 fertilizer. We have a copper hoe, which is going to last longer than the wooden hose, but I think I'll put it in there for now and not use it myself. I'll use the wooden hose. I don't really need to be carrying around a wooden shovel. I'm just lightening my load a little bit. None of this is particularly essential, but there we are. So I noticed that my water level is low, so I'm going to go have a drink. Long push on the A, and I'm going to open my inventory and have a bit of food. Also, I have some meat. I'll give it to Milan. Cook it and put it in his chest. So he has plenty to eat. In fact, he has the dried meat, which I'm going to take back. He has lots of roasted meat. He doesn't need the dry meat right now. I will keep that myself. If you look down in the bottom left, there is a new little gauge there that is green. What that means is I'm using less stamina, and that is an effect that the oat roll gives you. Just good to know. So I'm going to put the wooden hoe and the bag in my Hot Wheel. Oops, I need the bag. First you need to fertilize. So when you've got it there, you need to left trigger and pick fertilizer. And we go step by step through the field and fertilize it. Like I said last episode, this is kind of meditative, kind of tedious. It's a weird mix between satisfyingly meditative and tediously boring. But this is something we can also automate later. We need to build a farm shed, which we don't have yet. And we need a villager or multiple. Each farm shed you can assign 4 villagers. And the farming with villagers works a little bit differently than the production and extraction buildings, but we'll get to that in the future. We'll, maybe next episode, we'll make a few fields and get a few people and focus on farming a bit. But this one, I just want to get this field done. Okay, so we unlock the pigsty. This is the reason that we do the farming ourselves. And I got a new level in farming, in the skill. I always, whenever I get a notification for a skill, I open it up immediately because you could be getting more experience. So in this case, I want more experience from farming activities. And sometimes you get 2 points. I think it's every two levels you get 2 points. Otherwise you only get 1. So you can see there, I've still got 1 point to spend. I'm going to take 5% lower durability loss of farming tools, careful farmer. That just means that while I'm doing this, my tools will wear out slower, which is a good thing. So yeah, this episode, what I'd like to focus on, I'd like to get, well, we need a food storage so that when we have multiple villagers, we don't have to put the food in their houses.
What a scorcher.
And we then need to make some buckets. To make buckets, I'll need to build a workshop, which I don't have yet. And I want to get this field planted with cabbage. Next season we can harvest the cabbage and then we have lots of food for all of our villagers. And one of the things that cabbage is great for is creating fertilizer, strangely enough. So the way that works, now we're just going to go and plow all of these fertilized plots. The way it works is when you plant cabbage, you get a lot of cabbage. And it's more than your villagers can eat, especially if you only have 1 villager or a couple. I only have 1 at the moment. By the end of this episode, I may have 2, but they can't eat all that cabbage. They eat very little cabbage. So what you can do with the cabbage is you can either drop it on the ground somewhere where you can find it, like in the barn, or you can build compost bins, which are just wooden boxes that you throw junk in. You throw a certain amount of junk in them, and if food is sitting on the ground or it's in a compost bin, then at the beginning of the next season it will turn to rot. Right? So you end up with a lot of rot. And you can take the rot to the same table in the barn where you make fertilizer out of manure, and you can make fertilizer out of rot. The only difference is you get 1 fertilizer for every 2 manure, And unfortunately, you get 1 fertilizer for every 10 rot. But still, you can create a lot of fertilizer with rotten cabbage, which is handy. Okay, so this is plowed, fertilized and plowed. I'm gonna put away the wooden hoe. And now we can take our bag out. We can left trigger and select cabbage seed. There. So when you have this open, it shows you what can be planted this season. All of the things with the yellow X cannot be planted. So the only thing you can plant right now is cabbage or fertilizer, which we already did. So, cabbage. Let me throw these down. The bag is probably going to break before I'm done, and we don't have any other bags, so I'm going to have to go hunt to get leather to make more bags. But for now, we're good. We'll put down as much as we can, and then we'll go shoot some deer, I guess. So when we get to the food storage, which we will definitely build this episode, we'll have some other stuff to look at and think about. But for now, let's just get this field done, which probably requires some hunting. It's typical survival game bullshit. Survival games, oh, I missed one. Survival games, you've always got so many things that are dependencies. So I need leather bags, therefore I need leather, therefore I need to go hunting. And I don't have any leather stored, so as soon as this bag breaks, which is going to be any second now, I need to go get my bow and say hello to some deers. And one more.
Scorcher.
Click, and my bag broke. So, let's go. I think it's in my house. Or have I still got it on me? Nope, I don't. I need to go get my bow, get my 3 copper arrows, which is not many. Luckily, I only need 1 piece of leather to make 1 bag, and I probably only need 1 bag to finish the field. So, whoops, I did not equip my arrows. Good to remember to equip your arrows. Otherwise, when you try and shoot, nothing will happen. So, I know that there are some deer over here. I'm going a bit further right to avoid the wolves that are over there somewhere. I can stop and have a drink while I'm at it. Tasty. Tasty swamp water, it looks like. So let's look over here. There is a deer. I hit it in the head, I thought, but got him. So there's a copper arrow I can take back.
I'm roasting out here.
And when I skin him, I should get another copper arrow, I think. Skin her, sorry. So that's all the hunting I absolutely have to do. And you can see that I have 4 leather, which I can go into handcrafting and make it into 4 simple bags.
What a scorcher.
What a scorcher. You are so right, Bogusz. It's the hottest summer since this game started. So now I have 4 bags. That's more than enough to do the field. I want to put those bags in my wheel and equip them. And it's still got cabbage seed. You can see down in the bottom right, it's still got cabbage seed selected. So let's go back to the field and get that done. So I always use inspector mode. It's very useful for fields. I can see that I got up to here. Let his stamina recover so he doesn't have to make all those panting noises. Cabbage, cabbage, cabbage. And we're almost done. What should we do next? I think I would like to get the food storage finished. So that field is done. You can see it's cabbage, cabbage, cabbage for days. As I said last episode, I'm going to put farming things in the barn box for now because I'm doing the farming. So the good thing about planting a new crop, the annoying thing about it is you have to go buy the seeds. And at the moment we are also having to go and buy fertilizer or manure. In the future, as soon as I harvest all these cabbages, which will be next season, I will have more than enough cabbage seeds forever, basically. At some point in the future, you can start selling seeds just because you'll have more than you'll ever need. So you really only need to buy each seed type once. So that's good. And we'll also have more cabbages than our villagers can eat. So I will put some, not right now, but I will put some compost bins out here. Compost bins are left bumper buildings. They're actually really hard to find. They're not buildings. I always forget. Furniture and decorations, workstations, farming workstations, compost bin. And I can't build them right now because I don't have 8 logs. And I don't want to use logs for those right now. I won't need them until next season, so there's no point in building them right now. But that's where they are for the future. So the magic that happens, and this is totally illogical, the magic that happens is our buddy Milan is over here working. Right? Milan is working his ass off, creating logs and sticks for us. What does not happen is that the trees in the area become fewer. He is not actually cutting actual trees. He is cutting theoretical, metaphorical trees or something. He's just creating logs and sticks out of nothing. Somehow, logs and sticks just appear. And where they appear is in the resource storage. So the resource storage is both ways. The tools he needs are in there and he will use them as long as they're in the resource storage. And if we look in resources, there are more logs and more sticks than there were when he started. So he just deposits logs and sticks in the resource storage as he creates them. And he also takes out firewood and he takes out stone axes. As you can see, there's only one stone axe. That means he's using the other one right now. And that's good. That's fine. That's what we want him to do. But he doesn't need to be near trees, and he does not actually cut trees. The only trees that will be cut and disappear around here are the ones that I cut myself or your character cuts in your game. So that is good to know and very confusing to start with. It I was very, very confused by that at the beginning. Why are the trees not disappearing? Why is he, or how is he cutting lots of trees even though he's nowhere near any trees? And so on. But that explains it. So, what we need now is, so that was if we go to buildings, food storage. We have food storage 1 unlocked. And where do we want to put it is the question. I might put it over here. Yeah, I'll put it over here. Boom. That's the food storage. What we'll put next to it is a kitchen. And what I'm doing, like I said, I just have a very rough plan. What I'm doing is I'm organizing these buildings in kind of a shape that will leave an open area in the middle around the well and can become kind of a communal area where people hang out, where there's the food storage, and I'll put the kitchen somewhere over here as well once we have a kitchen, and so on. You get the idea. So, now that we're building, we want to go over here. Actually, the first thing we want to do is go into our own hut and drop the bow, drop the arrows, drop everything that kind of weighs something. So we can carry more. We can carry more anyway because we got a backpack. I do recommend getting a backpack, large backpack and large pouch as soon as you can. I couldn't afford the pouch, so I didn't get it. But you see there, we got all of the logs and sticks and the straw and a stone. Oh, we don't actually need the stone, but we got all of that and we could carry it, which is a lot more than we used to be able to carry. And that's because of the backpack that we have. So we're gonna have to cut some logs on our own anyway, because Milan is too damn slow. But he is saving us a lot of time. We would have had to cut all of those logs we just used ourselves, rather than him just doing it in the background while we were busy farming. And once you get out of your super intense, constantly building phase, it will become, you'll get into a state where you have essentially more resources than you want and more resources than you can store. But at the moment, we're kind of constantly building something every season. So it's going to take a little while before we get to the point where we have more logs than we need, or more logs than we wish we had. You know, I wish we had thousands right now. And the only way to get them is to wait for Milan or to cut them ourselves. So let's cut some ourselves. I usually, when I'm building, I like to go inside just because it's really much easier to get to everything. And we can put the roof, at least the straw for the roof. These bits are weird, like that's the roof, but you can only reach it if you're aiming right there. There. So you want to be careful with your aiming. And these bits are log, and these bits are log. So basically everything that isn't log, we've covered. And the funny thing is, you can go back to the resource storage, because we have a woodcutter now, and you'll find a couple of logs.
Oh, so.
He put them in there while we were doing other things. But it was only a couple. So we are going to have to... Actually, we're going to have to make another stone axe. Let's see if we can make a couple. Bogusz is really boiling out here, isn't he? Poor Bogusz. So, we have the skill that lets us see pick-upable resources on the ground, and I'm going to need some stones. So let's do that. The other really useful thing about that skill is you start recognizing the shapes of different plants. So even without pointing at it, I know that that's a broadleaf plantain, and this is a deadly nightshade. Yep. So it becomes much easier to find these things if you want to collect them yourself. Almost everything, or actually maybe even actually everything that can be collected by you, you can automate it at some point in your village. You can build a building which will allow you to tell a villager to do it. So for example, if you want lots of broadleaf plantain, which is a good thing to carry around lots of because it heals you. If you want lots of it, you can build an herbalist's hut, and you can tell the herbalist to collect broadleaf plantain. And then your resource storage will fill up with all of this stuff. So right bumper, stone axes, let's make 4. Any that we don't use, we put in the resource storage, and Milan, our woodcutter, will use them, even if we won't. And we have to put them in our wheel. And so Milan, we can see, has cut off work for the day and just went out of his house. Milan is hanging out. One of the things you can do, which adds a little color, doesn't make any mechanical difference really, but it adds a little color to your village, is you can put down seating outside. And in the mornings and evenings before and after work, your people will go and sit down and hang out and say occasionally funny things. We'll get to that, maybe not in this episode, but we'll definitely get to that. I think these birch trees I will not annihilate, as I did in the previous episode with the other ones, because there are a lot of birch trees up here, and if I annihilated all of them, it would be a pretty naked looking hill. What I mean by annihilate, just to repeat what I said in the last episode, if you do not remove the stumps of trees, they will grow back. It takes 2 years, but they will grow back. If you take the stumps out with a shovel, the trees will not grow back. And there you go. You see Milan is walking around with a torch because it's getting dark.
Damn, it's hot.
Damn, it's hot. Yeah, your villagers have all sorts of little behaviors. They will walk around at night with torches. They will sit and talk to each other. They will stop in various places, standing up and walking around and talk to each other. It's cute. There's another log here. Sometimes your guy will swing the axe in the dumbest way possible and will not hit a tree that is right in front of him. Happens all the time. So I think we have enough to finish the food storage. If not, we're really close. You can certainly finish the ceiling. Whoops. See what I mean? I missed the ceiling. There. There's the roof. Walls we can finish for sure. This requires 4. This also requires 4. And I have 1, so I need 3 there, and I need 8 there. So I need 9 more logs. We've also got some birch trees right here. So in the early stage, if you're thinking ahead and you are not digging up every single stump everywhere, in the early stage, it's going to look very desolate. You're going to take out a lot of trees, there's going to be a lot of stumps standing around and all of that. But if you're thinking ahead and you're leaving trees where it would be nice to have trees, in your second year or third year, I mean, it depends on which season you cut the trees in. So in summer, in 2 years, all of the trees I cut in spring in the first episode and all of the trees I just cut now, they'll be back in summer in 2 years. And the village will start looking a little less like a wasteland, which is nice. I have not been counting the trees, but I've been cutting birch, and I think I cut 4. I've got 7, 8. I need 1 more log. Nine and 10 logs. Okay. So now we can finish the food storage. If I didn't math wrong. I think I mathed right. What? I did math wrong somehow. Need 1 more log? Huh. Could have sworn I got that right, but as I said last episode, I don't math good. And last time I noticed that the recording of me working at night was a lot darker than what I was actually seeing on my TV. So I will not work through the night until I figure out how to adjust that. So food storage is finished. So what we want to do when you finish the food storage is you want to put all the food in the village, except what you're carrying yourself. You want to put it in the food storage. It's like the resource storage. Everything will be accessible to everyone in the village from the food storage. It also has a big advantage that it's the best place for food to not rot. So food will go bad over time, but when it's in the food storage, it will go bad by a smaller amount. What I mean is, for example, this roasted meat went down to 50%. Whoops. This roasted meat here went down to 50% just from spring to summer. That means it'll turn to rot if I carry it around at the end of summer. Whereas it goes down by a smaller amount if it's in the food storage. So the other thing that's weird, I said this about buckets before, it works in both directions. An empty bucket in your inventory is in your tools. A full bucket in your inventory is in your food. And same here, a bucket with water in it will be in the food storage, but when the buckets are used and emptied by the villagers, they will go into the resource storage because they are now tools. So they won't reappear in your food storage, which is quite confusing at the beginning. I'll put the apples in there for them, and I'm gonna keep the meat and cook it in my hut. The food spoiling only happens between seasons. It doesn't happen at night. It doesn't happen when you sleep. It only happens when seasons change. All right. We are really low on water and food. We just cooked some meat, so I'm going to eat until I'm full and put the rest in the food storage. We have some dried meat, which lasts a lot longer than roasted meat anyway. The other thing that's good to know, let's go back into the management tab and let's go all the way over to the right to the demand control. So this is not only where you can turn on and off will they eat something or not, it's also the order in which they will eat things. So if we had fish tarts, they would eat fish tarts before they would eat fruit tarts, right? So you can look at that and go down the list and see that they will take a bucket of soured milk before a bucket of milk, and so on. So, for example, if we have roasted meat, they will take it before they will take dried meat, which is somewhere down below, I think. Or maybe I missed it. Dried meat. I don't see dried meat. Yeah, okay. So they'll eat, it was right under it. They'll eat roasted meat before they'll eat dried meat. I turned dried meat off because it lasts the longest and it's good for you to carry around yourself until you've got better foods. So if I put dried meat in the food storage, it will not be eaten. If I have it in my inventory, they can't get it anyway, but if I put it in the food storage, they will not eat it. And another thing that's good to know, I mentioned that food lasts longer in the food storage. At the end of the season, before you go to bed at the very last day of the season, it's a good idea to put your food from your inventory into your food storage, especially at the beginning where you don't have very much food. You do that and it will rot less, it will go off less if it's in the food storage, and then you go and pick it up again the beginning of the next season when you're ready to do it. So we have a food storage. We have a villager working on creating logs and sticks for us. What else do we need? Well, we need a workshop. So if we right bumper, buildings, not extraction, but production. Over the other side where the anvil is, production, then we can see that we have a workshop unlocked. Workshops, at the beginning, you don't need to do that much in the workshop usually. Generally, what you do in the workshop early is make some buckets, and that's what we need it for this time as well. I'm going to do a little production-y area over here. Maybe do it this way. Yeah, there's fine. So, we have one log. Now, our buddy, our new villager buddy, I forget his name, Milan, Milan has been industriously cutting wood for us. He hasn't gotten any logs for us yet. Huh. That's interesting. I'm a little surprised by that, to be honest. Check traps. We have a rabbit. So we got some meat. We do not have a bird. We need some more sticks so that we can make another rabbit trap. We need 10. Oh, we have tons of sticks. So I'm going to make another furniture and decorations, traps, rabbit trap. I'm going to make another one. If you look at it, you can see very faintly on the left side that there is a stick sticking out. That is the front of the trap. If you care which way it's facing, you can rotate it with left trigger, right trigger, and put the front of it facing out that way. If you care. If you don't care, do what you want. Your game, your fun, your rules, as always. So, let's cut some spruce trees because they give 3 logs and birch trees only give 2. I'm basically deforesting the entire chunk of land between the 2 roads. But that's okay. That is fine. So we get all of these and we make a workshop. We can make some buckets, which is a way to make sure that we have, whoa, what was that? Which is a way to make sure that we have more than enough water for Milan, but also for the future people that will join our village. We can just make like 5 buckets and fill them up with water, and that will last quite a while. In the beginning of the game, I recommend doing certain things that don't need to be done every 5 minutes, doing them yourself. Like filling buckets of water. Do that yourself. That's fine. Because you can do it in seconds. It's kind of a waste to make a villager do it. And our hammer broke. So right bumper. We don't have any logs, of course. Yeah, it's kind of a waste to make villagers do these things because there are many more useful things that they could be doing. Later in the game, after a year or 2 or 5, you may have so many villagers and so many jobs, important jobs, filled that it's worth, no, let's just make one. It's worth putting somebody on the well to have them fill buckets. Putting somebody on the workshop to have them produce buckets, because buckets wear out over time like everything else. But at the beginning, it's a waste. And we've got so few logs. Whoops. Straw, also, longer term. What do we need? 3 logs and we have a workshop. At the beginning, you have to go, like we did last episode, you have to go down to the water, wherever your water is, to collect reeds to make straw, or to have straw. in the future, straw becomes a trivial problem because if you are planting wheat or oats or rye, when you harvest it and thresh it in the barn, you get straw. And you get lots of straw. So, there's the workshop. It's finished. In the workbench of the workshop, you can go over to wicker and wooden, and at the top is bucket. And we cannot afford a bucket. You have to unlock the blueprint essentially for it, the crafting plan for it, and you need 100 coin. And because I bought a backpack, we don't have 100 coin anymore. That's fine. That's fine. We'll just leave Milan alone in the village. Behave yourself, Milan. Oh, we got another rabbit already. Yeah, Milan is working. We will open the chest and give him our stone axe that we have left over. Do we have anything else we can get rid of? We should get rid of all of this. And actually, do we have... Nope, we don't have our bow anymore. It's in our house. Bogusz's house. Bow, 3 arrows. Let's make sure that we put that in number 5. Equip the arrows. And go get some deer. Hopefully a few deer. And hopefully we can find our arrows, because we only have 3. We need to make some money. And to make money, the easiest way, well, the quickest way is hunting. Get some meat, cook it, sell it. Get some leather, makes simple bags, sell them, equals money. Drink a little. We haven't been over in this direction. I'm wondering what's over here. So it's a swampy area. There are moose over here. Moose look dangerous, but they are totally not. They will not attack you. They will only run away. In this particular area, they can't run far. Oh, there's a bear. So bears are a problem. And you basically just want to run away when you see a bear. Until you know what you're doing in combat, you don't want to attack a bear. Okay, combat music ended. That's good. So over there it's swampy and there's a bear. That's all I need to know. Let's see if we can get a deer. Nope. Not this time. So we hit a deer. Stags, male deer, will also not attack you, which is not necessarily 100% realistic, because those antlers are not for show. Whoops, fuck. I don't really want to mess with a wolf right now. I didn't realize there was one over there. Whoops. Yeah, little surprise. Little surprise. Let's see. Wolfie boy is probably still around. Mr. Wolf. Mr. Big Bad. With animals, useful thing, go to the map. Over on the right are the filters. if you go one to the left, it's wild animals. And then if you go to where you are and zoom in, it shows you all of the wild animal spawn. So there is a wolf spawn. There is a bird of some sort, hawk spawn, deer. I think these are lynx. I hate these icons. They're really hard to decipher and find what you want. But yeah, there's a wolf spawn right in front of me. So I don't want to go over that way too far. But if I go over here a little bit. I hit a deer and it dropped my arrow, which is good. And they actually leave a blood trail, but it's not really distinct and clear enough to follow. There is a skill which I will get in the future as soon as I can. I think it's called Tracker, which allows you in inspector mode to not only see plants and things on the ground, but to see blood splotches and animals. And it even marks the animals as harmless, potentially aggressive or aggressive. That is really useful if you like hunting. If you don't really care about hunting, then I guess it doesn't matter. And it's not worth spending a point on, but if you like hunting, you want that. So, where's my arrow? Do I have any other arrows around here I can pick up? This is, by the way, something I mentioned in the last episode. I was thinking that arrows got a lot harder to find since the new update, the autumn update. And I wasn't sure I was right. I was testing, I did a test yesterday, shot some arrows. Seemed like more of them disappeared than used to, but it could be RNG because arrows do just break sometimes. And on the Discord, RenderCube has a Discord, and the developers and writers and designers and everybody at RenderCube are active on the Discord. And we talked about it back and forth today and yesterday quite a bit, and they found out that there is actually a problem. That it does actually... Man. Deer. Hit them once, don't get a perfect headshot, and they run off. Take your arrow with them. And they're too fast to catch on foot. Anyway, the arrows disappearing problem is actually a bug or an unforeseen circumstance that arrows that hit certain things bounce off of those things and just go flying off into far, far, far distance or way up in the sky or something like that. And we don't like that. So since the update, if you're an archer, you will be losing more arrows than you used to, but they are aware of it, and it may end up in the next update, whenever that comes out. It's not absolutely certain it will. No promises or anything, of course, but it's a problem they're aware of, and they've got it on their bug ticket list. I am gathering sticks and stones to make a new axe so that maybe I can hit a deer with an axe. I think you should be able to make arrows stone arrows by hand. You can't, but I think you should be able to. Somehow I did not hit that deer. Doesn't make any sense, but I apparently didn't. So that deer I hit earlier did eventually die and dropped, or didn't drop, but it has one arrow stuck in it. So I get one arrow back, which is great. I got a deer skull, which is also cool. I'll equip the arrows. Now, if I can just get a headshot on a deer and it doesn't run off with my arrow, the one arrow I have left, then I might be in business. Oh, somebody killed a rabbit. It wasn't me. But I'll take it. No problem. So somewhere over here, there were boar. Badger running off in the distance. Let's see. Check on the map exactly what I was talking about before. So the boar are over here. Let's go see if we can kill a boar. Stop for a drink. It's thirsty work, hunting. So there should be boar. I may get myself killed. Boar are relatively dangerous, a lot less dangerous than wolves, but they will attack you if you get too close. Or even if they just become aware of you, you don't have to get very close. They're fundamentally aggressive animals. And they will charge you, and they usually come in, whoops, groups. Ouch. So, good thing to know. In the middle of a fight, you can open up your inventory and eat a bunch of broadleaf plantain. Or take a potion of instant healing. So as long as you're set in that sense, you may not die, but you may. Yeah, so this is new since the autumn update. You miraculously survive, on the Oxbow map anyway, you miraculously survive, but you need medical attention. You respawn in your house. But as you can see in the bottom left, my health is quite down. My water and food are also down a fair bit. So I need to drink a bit. There's a rabbit in the trap. Rearm. I can, whoop, sorry for all the spinning. I can go into my hut. You don't lose any of the stuff in your inventory. Your clothing and or armor can take damage, but not that much, at least for the basic stuff. I've got basic shirt, shoes, and trousers, and they are down from 100%, which means I'll eventually need to replace them, but it goes very slowly in this case. I got a production point 2 that I can spend. So with production, the first 3 skills are knowledge. So that gives you 15 or up to 15% more XP on everything that is production. This gives you an extra up to 15% on cooking or sewing. I'm going to put both of these points into crafting knowledge. That just makes production, earning production points go much faster. So I should eat something. I'll eat some of the roasted meat. So, and I'll put the rest of the roast meat in here. Oh no, actually. Yeah. I'll keep the roasted meat because I wanted to sell it, didn't I? But I don't have any arrows left. So I'm kind of screwed as far as hunting goes. I cannot hunt so much right now. But I'm going to run into town and sell what I have. I forgot. Right bumper, handcrafting, simple bags. Make 4 of those. This will get me a little money. Not very much though. So, let's see if the wolves are chasing the deer. No, they're not. So that should mean that there's no wolf anywhere near the path right now, which is good to know. Gonna need to take a bath before I get back into town. And maybe when we're over near the town anyway, I'll show you the basics of romance. Not like I'm a romance expert. I am single. I wouldn't be if I was an expert in romance, I guess. No, what I mean is romancing an NPC so that you can get a wife and eventually a child. That's the Dynasty part of the game. The reason it's called Medieval Dynasty or Dynasty is you can eventually have a child and you can eventually play your own child. When you have a child and they reach 18 years old, you can play them. And your old character is either dead or they retire. Oh, I wanted to bathe. There we go. May as well drink while I'm here, even though I don't really need it. Yeah, you find a spouse and eventually convince them to marry you, and then they share the house that you're living in, obviously, and eventually she gets pregnant or he gets pregnant. It was, before the autumn update, it was the case that if you were playing a female character, your husband would get pregnant, which is kind of funny.
How do you do?
So I'm gonna sell what little I have. It's really very little. Roasted meat. Now I have 100 coin. What was it that I wanted to, I don't even remember what it was that I wanted to
have a good day.
That I needed 80 coin for. I wish this was live. You could remind me. Remember we have this skill, quest, outstanding. This is the guy. Oh, I still have to do some things for him. That's right. I'm not quite ready to talk to him. Generally what I do, if I'm focused on village building, generally what I do is I build a bunch of stuff in the first couple of years. And once I've got the basics and I've got everything kind of running on its own, I've got some villagers, they're doing the basic stuff I need. Usually you'll have a point where you want to build a lot and maybe you want to wait for a bunch of logs to be produced or whatever, a lot of farming to be done. When I hit those points, I generally start doing quests. I haven't really been doing quests right now. You are kind of forced, in a way, by the game to do quests. You can't completely ignore them because you need quests to increase your dynasty reputation to then be able to recruit more villagers. Villagers will refuse to join your village if you have too low a dynasty reputation. So you want to get your dynasty reputation up by doing quests. So I will definitely be doing more quests in more depth in future episodes. At the moment, I don't need it. But as soon as I want to hire, I think my second villager, I will need to do some questing. There are, I haven't shown it yet, but there are, in the Oxbow map, not in the Valley map, but in the Oxbow map, there is a quest board, which is actually where that guy I just ran up to in Piastovia, where he was standing. It's a notice board that has a number of things on it, and they are simple quests. They are basically fetch quests. Go and get 10 logs and bring them to someone, or go and hunt 6 foxes, or whatever. And they're pretty easy to do, and they give you a little bit of coin and a little bit of dynasty reputation. I actually did a playthrough where I only did those quests. I didn't engage with the story quests at all, ever. And those little quests are enough to finish or to gain the amount of dynasty reputation that you need in order to keep recruiting villagers. But it may slow you down because I think basically if you do all of those quests, you'll have enough to get a villager or maybe 2 villagers every season, but not more than that. This is what I needed 100 coin for. So now I have 7 coin, but I can make buckets. We'll have plenty of money at some point. The money thing, if you're doing like I am and you are primarily generating your coin, so we have logs. We need to turn logs into planks to make buckets. So if you're primarily depending on farming for your money, then money becomes very seasonal. I don't need to do that many. I'll do 10, which is 20 planks. You get 2 for each log. Money becomes very seasonal if you're using farming. So the big money maker in farming at the beginning is flax. Flax plants in spring and harvests in summer. You sell it in summer, you have a lot of money, and that's it. So we can make 10 buckets. We don't really need to make 10 buckets, but this is also ranking up our production. Yep, see, we just got the kitchen. And when I go to the well, it will rank up our extraction. Craft more, 10. Fast crafting is on, so you only really draw up 1, more or less. It's not as fast as 1, but it's a hell of a lot faster than 10. And that gave me a new level in extraction. I'll go ahead and do that before I forget. Extraction, I have 1 point. I'll put it in the extra XP. And then we're going to go with mule. Mule gives you more carry weight. I think it's 5, then 10, then 15 kilograms, which is quite a bit. Very useful. So I'm going to take all these buckets, which are weighing me down. Of course, buckets of water weigh a lot more than empty buckets. Now, villagers have buckets for days. So, something that is a very regular habit or necessity, go into the resource storage and dump a bunch of resources. Yeah. Oh, wait. I realized I'm carrying a deer skull, which weighs 2.5 kilos, which is not light. So I'm getting a bit tight on some things. I haven't got arrows, and I can't buy arrows, and I can't make arrows yet. You can make stone arrows in a hunting lodge, which may be the next thing I will build. But for now, let's go to sleep. So if we open the map, it can be useful. You want your filters on main, probably, and then you zoom all the way in on yourself, on your village. You can actually see the buildings turn up on the map, right? So the thing that's useful to look at is you can see your village sort of developing, and I can see, I was talking about this sort of courtyard shape that I'm kind of working on there, and that's developing. I've got my field over here, I've got my barn, and a resource storage over there. So I'm kind of filling up this bit between the two roads. I'm taking out a lot of trees, which will come back, most of them, and I'm filling this area up. So I was thinking the hunting lodge probably belongs out in the woods, a little further away from everything. Good thing to know, for your villagers, it completely does not matter how far away from their work they are. You could put a house over here and put the hunting lodge over here and put the hunter in that house, and it doesn't really matter. The only exception to that is the farmers. The farmers are the only workers in your village that actually have a physical impact on the world and that need to do physical things. So if you put a field here and your farmer's house all the way over here, he won't start farming until he walks over to here. That is a problem. And it's weird that it's only farmers, but that's the way it is. So you want to put your farmers' houses near the farm. It doesn't have to be right next to the field, but it shouldn't be too far away. And everybody else, it doesn't matter. So I can put another house over here, and I can put a hunting lodge over here, and put the hunter in the house, and it doesn't matter. So I think roughly sort of like here-ish might be a good spot for the hunting lodge, because it's out kind of in a secluded spot in the trees, and that seems like maybe what a hunting lodge should be. Let's go have a look. So there's this cliff over here. Anywhere you point at the ground and it says rock, that is something you can mine, but it's also something you cannot build on. So if you get too close to that, you won't be able to build. But I think I could put a hunting lodge over here. So it's building, it's buildings, survival, hunting lodge. And it's going to be tricky with all these trees around here, but I think I can get them in here somewhere. Yeah, I think that might be cool. A little removed from the village itself. And I want the hammer, and I want, actually to start with, I want stones. for the foundation. I think it's 8. I think. Maybe remembering wrong, it might be 10. No, it's 8. And then I want logs, 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 logs. So let's see what our villager has created for us so far. 6. Not exactly many, but we'll take them. And I took all the sticks and the straw because that's what you need to build the first level of the hunting lodge. Yeah, not many at all. I should be cutting down a spruce tree, not a birch tree, because spruce give 3 logs and birch only gives 2. So I'm kind of being dumb here. Sometimes logs get caught in trees. So I've got more than enough sticks for all of the sides, but I'm missing a bunch of logs. At the beginning, your villagers seem to work really, really slowly. So our good buddy, whatever his name is, Milan, our good buddy Milan is taking his sweet time creating the logs that we need. I'm just going to run down to the lake and get some more straw. He's taking his time creating the logs we need. When your villagers are working, they will level up, and they will level up to 10. Just like you can. You have your skills that level up to 10, so do they. And he started out as a level 3 in extraction. And eventually, he will level up to 10. That takes a long time. That is a very slow process usually. They level up faster in better buildings, I believe. Otherwise, you just leave them and they will eventually level up. You can see it when you open them. So if you click on him and then we look over on the right panel at extraction, it has a little tiny green bar. When that green bar gets all the way across, he will level up to extraction 4. All of his other ones are not leveling up at all because he's not doing those jobs. So we'll see that over time. He will level up and work a lot faster. They definitely work faster in better buildings. So there are different levels of buildings that you unlock through the technology tree. And as you unlock the better buildings, they will, I think, level up workers faster, and they definitely work faster in those buildings. And it makes quite a difference. Like someone in a smithy 3 is going to be producing a lot more than the same person in a smithy 1. But we'll get into different levels of buildings later in future episodes. So I've got more than enough straw. Also, some buildings, like the woodshed, when you level them up, can take more people. More people can work in them at the same time. So a woodshed level 2, I believe, can have 2 workers. And a woodshed level 1 can only have 1. So at the beginning of the game, I usually build at some point 2 woodsheds. And later in the game, I destroy one of them and upgrade one of them. And it's just as effective as having 2. cut down some spruce trees this time because they give 3 logs. The only reason I'm doing this, I mean, generally you want to build a building because you need a place to put a villager so that they can do some work for you. I'm not that worried about having a hunter at this point. Although they're useful, you can make them get leather, which you can then make into bags, and that's money. And also useful for farming. But at the moment, the only reason I want a a hunting lodge is so that I can make arrows myself. Hunting lodge, you can make arrows, you can also dry meat.
What a scorcher.
What a scorcher. And all of those things are useful. Dried meat is the main thing I eat at the beginning of the game. And being able to make your own arrows, there we go, we're done. Being able to make your own arrows at the workbench over here is pretty handy. You can make stone arrows and you can make wooden bolts for crossbows. I hate crossbows. They are so slow, they hit hard, and they have more power behind them than a bow. But a recurve bow, which I will buy eventually, takes a long time before you can actually make them yourself. But a recurve bow is much faster and does pretty good damage. Stone arrows I can't make because I don't have any money to buy the plan for it, the scheme. But I can come in here and make stone arrows pretty easily after I buy the scheme. So anyway, so we've got that built. What we probably need now, really, is another woodshed so that we can get another person
I should take some clothes up.
cutting wood. So let's have a drink, have some food, and the temperature does vary in this game. Oh look, we got a rabbit and we got a burb. So I'll build another rabbit trap, because by doing all of this, we're just getting more or less passive hunting skill. Yeah, we get the same hunting skill
The heat
points
is
from
unbearable.
collecting a rabbit out of a rabbit trap as we do from running through the fields and punching rabbits. So we may as well put down the traps and keep a relaxed eye on them. So I think I'm going to build another woodshed. To do that, where I want to do it, I need to dig up a stump because I want to put the woodshed right next to the other woodshed, and I can't do that with this stump here. So the stump is gone. I may have to take out this one as well, but I'll try and leave it there. So buildings, extraction, woodshed. I want these to be essentially back to back. This is a useful way to line things up, is you put the thing you're building inside something else and you rotate yourself until when you pull it out of the other one, it seems to be lined up. And then you can go back until it turns green. Boom. There we are. I haven't got any stones. I need rocks. Where's a rock? There's a rock. Oh, there's a bunch over here. I think it's 8 again. So that's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Because it's such a fundamental building, the woodshed is really easy to build compared to a lot of other things. It's very low cost in resources. Let's see if Milan has gotten us more logs. Yep. Maybe almost enough. I don't remember exactly how many we need, but we need one inside
Scorcher.
as well. And yeah, there we go. So we have a second woodshed. Something else about villagers. The way villagers get married and have children is you force them to. Basically, it sounds bad, but you can put multiple people in one house. So if you look at the management tab, whoops, and you open houses, you can see there's a people column. So each of the simple small houses can have 3 people in it. That is a woman, a man, and a child. It cannot have 3 men. It cannot have 2 women and 1 man. It cannot have 2 men and 1 woman. It can have a woman, a man, and their child. So right now, the simple small house has Milan in it. He is a man, and he is 29 years old. His age is relevant. So I can put a woman in there who is within 20 years of his age, I believe. All of the new people that you recruit, I don't think any of them are ever older than like the middle of their 30s, I think. The ones that you see sitting around outside towns, I'm pretty sure they're always like somewhere below 35. So Milan, all I need to do is find a woman and I can put her in his house. So what I want, because I have 2 woodsheds now, and we see also in the people column, one of them has 1 of 1, one of them has 0. Nobody's working in this woodshed. So what I want is a woman that I can put in the same house as Milan who has a good extraction skill. So why don't we go look for that? And she will probably tell me, quite possibly tell me, that I don't have enough reputation, Dynasty reputation, for her to join. But we'll go have a look. I don't remember when the cutoff starts, but I think it might already be now that they'll start telling you, I can't join you because you haven't done enough quests. Also, if you look in the bottom left, there's the little orange circle, which is partially black and is getting more and more black as time goes by. That means that is an effect, also from something I ate, I believe from the dried meat. That means that I use up food, or I need food less. That my hunger meter is slowed down, essentially. Pretty much all food, not all food, like roasted meat doesn't do anything like that, but a lot of food has an effect. Some of it has multiple effects. Like a beer will make you drunk, and you'll get a little drunk meter. Try it out, it's fun. And it will also maybe give you more carrying capacity, or you'll use less stamina, or whatever. Yeah, deer are too fast to catch. You can't run fast enough to catch them. There is a faster running skill that you can get later on, but to start with, you definitely cannot catch deer. I'm not even sure you can with the faster running skill. Foxes, also too fast to catch. If you want to cool down, of course, you can always go in the water. And it's good to go in the water. You can prophylactically wash yourself. So the wash meter resets when you go in the water, and it's, I think, deeper than your waist. So if you go in and it's deeper than your waist and you're not dirty yet, you will get dirty it'll take longer for you to get dirty in the future. I didn't want to go into town. I wanted to go to see the villagers.
Damn. It's hot.
It's hot. Yeah, it's hot. Sorry, Bogusz. The villagers that are sitting here
No animals do.
reset with the seasons. So until the end of summer, it'll be the same ones that were sitting here before. It is the same ones that were sitting here before, minus Milan, who was sitting there. I recruited Milan, and the other ones are still sitting here. So I remember that she was good at extraction, and we need a woman.
It's hot.
Or we need to build a new house. We could build a new house and hire anyone we want and put them in the other house. But we may as well try this out. So the other thing that is interesting with these people is we want to eventually have a child, so we need a wife. And you can romance people. This is a tricky little mini game, basically. The way I always start with it is small talk. So if you say, what's on your mind lately? And she says, nature always overwhelmed me. I prefer it harnessed and in place. Square-shaped fields, straight forest edges, and reinforced cave mines make me feel safer and calmer. So she's kind of nervous. She's not adventurous. Does anything give you a hard time? I can't force myself to put my heart into my craftings. It's just another routine job. So she doesn't like crafting. How's your day going? It's the halfway point of the year. Think about how much labor has already been done up till now. Now imagine the same amount of work is still ahead of us. Get to work. So she's hardworking and she's nervous. So, romance.
Hail to the king!
To begin with, the main question you're going to deal with is, you seem very interesting. Can I ask you something? And if you look at her name in the middle bottom of the screen, first of all, her age needs to be within 10 years of yours. It's different for you than it is for your villagers. It needs to be 10 years. And her affection is 0%. You want to get her affection up to 100%
Keep at it.
so that you can ask her to marry you and she'll say yes. So, you seem very interesting. At the beginning, mostly you want to ask general questions instead of talking about yourself, which is good advice for real life as well. But you want to avoid questions which go against her tendencies. So she's kind of nervous and wants security and safety, and she likes to work hard. So you can ask her neutral questions about herself, like, what brought you here? And up the top left, you see her affection went +5. And down the bottom, you see it's now 5%. And then you can ask her another question. Where do you come from? Tell me something about your birthplace. It's a neutral question. You'll probably get +5 for that. Yep, +5. So, but if you don't ask her a very successful question, it'll cut off after a couple. If you ask her a question that gets you a minus, it'll cut off. If you ask her a question that gets you a 0, it'll probably cut off. I'm not sure exactly what the math behind it is, but basically you want to try and ask the most impressive question you can that most fits her personality and get the biggest plus, because that will keep the conversation going longer. So now I can't romance her again until tomorrow unless I got her something. if you say I got you a little something, it'll open up gifts. We don't have any gifts, so it doesn't show us anything. But you can get gifts. And then it tells you in the tutorial, which ends up in the knowledge. It tells you, I think, actually, I'm not sure where spouse is. Family, probably under family. Yeah, affection, flirting, gifts, spouse. It explains all of these things to you in the tutorial stuff in knowledge, in the knowledge tab. So have a look at that. But as we go through this, probably next episode, I will try and romance someone enough that I can really get them as my wife. So I'm creating a new settlement and I'm looking for good people willing to join me. Okay, she will join me, which is awesome. So again, we get the icons up in the top left. She has no house, food, water, or firewood, but we can put her in the same house with Milan. And now she's there, and we can put her in the new woodshed that has no person in it. And now she's there. And then if we look at the houses, this house has Milan and Amelia in it. Those names really fit really well. She's a bit young for him, but within acceptable range. 20 years, like I said. The two things that are different is for you, it's 10 years, not 20 years. So she has to be within 10 years of your age. You can see your age on your inventory. On the top right, you see your character's name and age. So I'm 18 at the moment. So I couldn't marry a 29-year-old. I could marry or romance a 28-year-old. The other thing that's different is with your villagers, you can put them in a house together. If there's a house that only has a man in it, you can put a woman in it. If there's a house with only a woman in it, you can put a man in it. They will eventually marry and have a child. You cannot do that with a woman in your house. So this is my house. It's only got one person in it, me, but I cannot just put a woman in it. I have to romance a woman and marry her, and she will then automatically move in with me. And I think within 2 years, she'll be pregnant and have a child. So that's how that works, and how it works differently between you and your villagers. So now all of those icons will go away because she has a house, and the resource storage and food storage have what else she needs in them. Let me see if I have anything to sell. I don't think I do. Not really anything that's really worth selling. Nope.
I'm roasting out here.
I am roasting out here, says Bogusz. Yeah, it's hot. It is hot. So I'm going to run back in time for bed. But what I really need is a way to make some money. It can be really pretty in this game. Actually, I might explore a little on the way. I've never been up this hill. There's a bear spot down there. Best avoided. But I haven't been up on this hill. Famous last words. The interesting thing about that bear spot, I've been there before. Down there's a cave. And it's safe. You can... Oh, wait, no. No, there is a bear down there. He was chasing a moose. Or is chasing a moose. So there are bears down there. And they're running around like crazy. What's up with you bears? Chill, dudes. Oh, he's a little close. Okay, I've got scary danger music. I think I've got to be far enough away now. Yeah. Scary danger music has gone away. That's good. So, I can not really make a great deal of money right now. I don't have the money to buy any plans to make other things. I could, well, bird trap I can collect. The burb and the rabbit, rearm that trap, make another bird trap. So, furniture and decorations, trap, bird trap. I need one more stone. Furniture and decorations, traps, bird trap. Generally, you have to spend money to make money, just like in real life. You can either get a job, and that's not what this game is about, or you can spend money to make money. And that means I can create things in the workbench, in the workshop, but they're all locked. And they're either locked because I don't have enough technology for them, or I need to pay to get the plan for them, the scheme for them. I don't have any money. I have 7 coin, which is pretty weak, super weak, and therefore I can't do any of that. I'm getting resources automatically. I've automated my resources up to a certain point. I'm getting sticks and logs automatically. But if I want to have anything to sell, I have to look in here. So one thing that's useful to know, and it took me a long time to notice it, is if you look at the bottom of the screen, right at the bottom of the screen where it tells you the controls, it says sort items. You push down the right stick and you get a list. And at times it can be really useful, like now, sort by price descending. So the most expensive things you own will be at the top. So if I sold the copper hoe, I would get half of the listed price here. So I'd get 55, which is not bad. Deer skulls, I can make 10 because there's 2 of them. Wooden shovels, strangely enough, sell for 3.5 each, which means if I took all these logs and made them into wooden shovels, I could make a little money off of that. But it's not much. It's really not much. I think because I already sold my flax, next season it's cabbages, which is basically just food forever, and some stuff that I can turn into fertilizer. It takes a season though. Like next season I get the cabbages, and the season after that, the extra cabbages I can turn into rot, which will make
The heat
for some fertilizer. Right now, what I probably want to do, and you can check this at any time, if you open management and you go into close houses, open the woodshed, you can see that the axes that are available provide 30 more durability. That's going to last a little while. This one, I made the mistake I told you not to make. I didn't give her any assignments. So, when you look at these assignments, at the bottom it says in red, axe, 2 durability. So she's not going to be able to work because she doesn't have a tool. That means there's one axe left. The other guy is using them. Milan is using that axe, and she doesn't have an axe. So because we need to probably build more than anything, I'm going to do what I did on the other and go 60-40 logs and sticks. She can collect sticks because she doesn't need a tool for that, but she can't make logs because she doesn't have an axe. So what I want to do is make a bunch of axes to set them up for good working conditions. Again, this is really useful for finding things like stones. And Bogusz is boiling. This is going to become a problem, not that he's boiling, but the temperature is going to become a problem in winter. So we basically have a couple seasons to get him some better clothes, or to make a whole bunch of torches. Torches, because they generate heat, if you carry around a lit torch all the time, you're essentially immune to the cold weather. I know they adjusted how some of that stuff works in the update, and it may be different now. We'll find out in winter. There is also a potion that will give you or make you immune enough to temperatures. I don't think I've ever used it myself, but it's an option. So let's see what axes we can make. We can make 10 axes. Why don't we do it? Save 1 or 2 for ourselves. We can put the rest in the resource storage, and then we've got woodcutters working like crazy.
I would say people.
Stone axes. I'll give them the one that's used. I'll keep 2. And that should set them up nicely. So now, if we open management, it shows us free time instead of no tool. Right? So it's nighttime, they're not working. But tomorrow morning, when, what was her name? When Amelia starts working, she will have an axe. She will be set for work. So it says free time. In the morning, it'll start totally normally. No problem. So it says I need to cool down. It's a hot evening, apparently. How's the food going? We have lots of food. I've got 6 meat. Now, what I can do with that meat, what I will do with that meat is, this is why, one of the reasons anyway, that we built the hunting lodge, is I can run up into the forest to where the hunting lodge is, and I can dry that meat. That will make it last longer. And then I have food to carry around. Unfortunately, you can't pick up the bow that's on the wall here. I would love to have it because it's a much better bow than the one I've got. And also over here, there are arrows up there on the shelf. I'd love to have those too, because I have no arrows. There are some over here as well, but you can't get them. Give me the arrows, damn it. Arrows! No, you can't get them. So I now have, back in my inventory, under food, I have dried meat. So I'm set for food for a bit. And some of the buildings light up. They have these little lamps in them. Some you have to put a lamp in it, like your house, if you want, and you get your random villagers like Milan. They're carrying around torches. You can further down the road. You can build lamps, standing lamps, and torches around your village. It looks really pretty when you get to that point. It's going to take a little while though. So for now, we'll just sleep. We're not taking it too stressfully. We're not freaking out about getting everything done on time or any of that. Okay. So if you look at the top, we've got the season meter where the yellow sun is, and it's the last day of the season. I have seasons turned up to 5 days. Whoops, wrong menu. If we go into here and go into customize and further down, length of seasons, I have it turned to 5. After the first year, I usually turn it down to 3 or 2 once you've got some really basic stuff set up. But for now, I've got it turned up to 5. So if you look at the top, that half circle, it's a 5th basically. And as long as you remember how many days there are, you can tell what day it is. So it's the last day of the season. We should get something useful done, but the main thing we need to do is maybe make some money. So we got another rabbit. And that got us a new level of hunting, and we haven't really been hunting hardly at all. So that's pretty cool. So the one I was talking about earlier, Tracker, it will show you animals, and it shows you blood splotches on the ground really, really obviously, so you can follow animals that you've shot but not killed. But it's locked. You can't get it. All the way on the right, tier. The tier column shows you these are tier 1 skills. You need at least one of them. And then the tier 2 skills unlock. So I'm going to get hunting knowledge. And now I could get tracker if I had another point. So next time I get a hunting point, I'll put it in tracker. Because tracker is awesome. So this is what the traps get you. I haven't done that much hunting, like running out with a bow or anything and killing animals, but the traps are almost passive hunting skill or hunting experience points. If I go down this way, there's an animal I would really like to hunt, but I can't yet. Ah, there is a rabbit to punch though. They make a horrible noise, but I do like punching rabbits. Oh, there's another rabbit over here I can oh no, there's a hawk. There's another rabbit. Careful, I don't want to get too close to the Vezants. So over there, through the trees, you can see a really big animal. And they're easy to take down with a good bow and good arrows, but they are impossible to punch to death because they will kill you first. They're called Vezant. They are basically bison. Vezant is the modern German word for bison, but I assume it's also maybe a medieval, possibly Polish word. Oh, another rabbit to punch. Vezant are awesome to hunt because they're not that fast. They are easy to kill pretty much with a good bow and good arrows. You shoot them in the head 3 or 4 times and then you're done. And they give you a ton of leather and meat. So I would love to be able to hunt one right now because I need money, and roasted meat and simple bags are the way to make money early in the game. I don't really have... I want to keep those simple bags. And there aren't enough of them to make a significant amount of money. I also often forget, what could I build that I haven't built? So it's often useful to go into buildings and just go through these. So I have a well. I have 2 woodsheds. Survival, I don't have a herbalist's hut yet. I do have a hunting lodge. Don't really need an herbalist's hut yet. Farm shed, I don't really need yet because that's how you tell your villagers to farm for you, and I don't have anyone farming for me yet. That's fine. Animal husbandry, I could get chickens and pigs, but I need money for that. Production, I have a workshop. Oh, the kitchen. I did want to build the kitchen. Now or soon. And I like it being near the food storage just because it kind of makes sense. But the kitchen is one of these rare buildings that has to have flat land to build on. Most buildings, or a lot of buildings anyway, I'm going to take out this stump. A lot of buildings, as I've shown before, they have the stilts thing. Okay, and lining this up, we can line it up with the front, and then just move straight to the right, and then we know it's lined up with the house. Boom. So we're going to put the kitchen right next to my house. The kitchen is one of those weird buildings. It has to have a flat foundation of stone. You can't get around that. It will not go up on stilts. And that's all there is to it. So you have to find a flat place to build it. This is good to know, especially if you're building in a place with a lot of slopes, a hilly spot. It's just something to be aware of. You're gonna have to find a flat place to put your kitchen. So that should do it for the foundation. And logs. Logs and sticks and straw. Everything at the beginning is logs and sticks and straw, basically. And the kitchen is also a good way to make money, but only once you've been farming a bit more. I was joking with someone on the Discord today that you hit a point in the game where you are the flatbread king. You build so much, or you farm so much grain that you make a ton of flour, and then you end up being the flatbread king. Because flatbread only needs flour and water. So you run back and forth filling up buckets of water and baking flatbread. But I haven't got enough fields at the moment to grow much more, and I haven't got the money at the moment to buy seeds for much more. Or there we go, kitchen's finished. So we got the kitchen, the food storage, my house, and the well all right next to each other, which is nice, convenient. And we'll probably move the well, but we don't need to do that now. The kitchen has a box in it. You can store stuff, and it has 3 different cooking things. It has an oven, it has a cauldron, and it has a stone grate. So the oven, as you would expect, is for baking things. There's a whole bunch of breads. There are pies, which are very late game food. And there are tarts, which are also pretty late game. Equally late game. There's the cauldron, where you can make soups, porridges, and other, which is things like cheese. You need quark to make cheese. And you can make meat with gravy, scrambled eggs, and scrambled eggs with mushroom. And soups and porridges are kind of obvious. And the stone grate is basically just a fire, like you can cook in your own house. So I'm going to make some roasted meat from rabbit punching. There we are. But the main things I usually make, three different functions of food that you can make in the kitchen. So there is food to sell. That is flatbread. Once I can buy the scheme for it, 100, and once I have flour, then I will make a lot of flatbread because that is a really, really easy way to make money.
Take some clothes up.
So that's making money with food. Essentially, bake a hell of a lot of flatbread at the beginning. There's food for villagers. What I usually do there is I make porridges and I make gruel, because gruel just needs rye grain and a wooden bowl. Doesn't need anything else. The villagers are perfectly happy to eat the same bad food for the rest of their lives. You can give them more and different kinds of food if you feel like it. And the game possibly, it's not promised or anything, but I think probably the devs will add a relationship between food and happiness for villagers in the future. But at the moment, they will eat anything and they don't care. So I make them the cheapest, simplest thing. You make a bunch of wooden bowls, you plant a lot of rye, and you can make gruel forever. So that's villager food. And the last one is food for you. Now, if you're earning a lot of money selling flatbread, it may actually be cheapest and easiest to buy food for yourself. I often buy cheese because it has really good properties and effects. It reduces stamina reduction by 80% or something like that. There are also good breads, like oat rolls are quite nice because they're very filling. The rye breads and the wheat breads are also quite nice. You can see down the bottom what they do. So it says you can sell a rye bread. The price is 32, which means you can sell it for 16. It gives you 80 food, and it's 50% less stamina reduction or consumption. Wheat bread is basically the same thing. White bread gives you 20% less food consumption. Multigrain bread is 60% less stamina consumption, so on and so forth. You get the idea. So you can make those for yourself. You can plant onions and do flatbread with onion, which sells for more than just flatbread. Flatbread sells for 4.5 coin. It says down the bottom 9 price, so 4.5 it sells. If you plant onions, then you can make flatbread with onion, which sells for 6.5. So that adds up because you are literally going to be baking thousands of them probably, or I do anyway.
I'm boiling.
Other things you can make for yourself, you can make, where is meat with gravy? Other. So if you make meat with gravy, also requires you plant onions, and then you have meat and wooden plates. It's complicated to make because you need 3 ingredients. You need to have meat and then roast the meat first, and you need to have onions, but it gives you more temperature tolerance, which is maybe interesting. It gives you some food and some water at the same time, which is also nice. Scrambled eggs only gives you food. Scrambled eggs with mushrooms gives you a little extra health as well as food, and so on. But cheese, 50% less stamina reduction and 90 food. I like that one because it allows you to run a lot longer. It gives you a lot of food all at once, basically fills your entire food gauge all at once. It's pretty useful. Anyway, that's enough about the kitchen.
Boiling.
Bogusz is boiling. What else should we do? I think that's actually pretty good. I mean, we're on our last day of summer. There's nothing we desperately need to do right now other than earn some money. One way we will earn money maybe is also just selling a whole bunch of excess cabbage. One thing we can do, last episode, I cheesed the bears. If you didn't watch last episode, what that means is you can make an animal spawn go away by building near it without killing the animals and then waiting until the next season. So what that did, hopefully, is you can always look on the map. So on the map, if we go over where I am and we zoom all the way in and we go to, in the filters, we go to wildlife or wild animals. There we go. There used to be a bear icon right here and it's gone because I built a little piece of road right here, which you can see there actually. So if we go up here, we can see our mine. Here's the cave. The bears used to live in it, but they are gone, which is great. And I just realized what I'm going to do to make money. So this is the cave, and it goes back, I think it goes in sort of a loop here. I've been here before, but I haven't used this cave much. It goes back quite a way. And yeah, it keeps going, it keeps going, it keeps going. But most of these caves are pretty simple. Yeah, it dead ends back here. Once you put a mine building in it, it will change and become a lot bigger. I guess when you put a mine building in, the people, your villagers, dig the tunnels in further. But the other thing that's useful to know, if you have the perk or the skill, where is it? Master of Destruction? No. Yeah, it's this one. Survival Sense in the survival skill tree. You can use Inspector mode to see, better without the torch actually, to see all of the mineral deposits or the metal deposits that you can mine. So here's a copper deposit, here's a tin deposit, and if you look around and see a white one, like really white, like that, it's a salt deposit. In a cave that has mining in it that you can do yourself, that's what you'll find. Copper, tin, and salt. And I think what we're going to do at the beginning of autumn is come back here and mine all of this cave. Because you can sell those metals. What we want to do is check the technology tree and see how far away from a smithy we are. So we just got the kitchen. We're not that far from the smithy. So if we produce a number of things, for example, a bunch more buckets, we can unlock the smithy, and then we can make bars out of the metal, and then we can sell those. They sell, of course, for more than the raw ore that you get out of there. So this is an area I also want to build up. It's tricky because it's really steep and it's really rocky, and I probably won't be able to put much around here, but I want to work on it and see what I can get done. So, I'm not going to do that now, though. I think this episode is going to be long enough without me doing more this summer. Let's have a little
The heat
flyover look at the village. Photo mode, hit Y, push in the right stick, and go up. So the village has developed a bit. We have still just one barn, one field, but we've got another house. No, actually, we don't have another house. We have another person in that house. We have another wood cutting shed, wood shed. We have a workshop, we have a food storage, and we have a kitchen. So the village is coming along nicely. I think in autumn, we'll expand it over that way a bit, put in an excavation shed, which is where you can get people to dig up stone and copper for you. I will mine out that mine. Oh yeah, and we also have a hunting lodge back there in the trees. That was new this episode. So we've actually done pretty well, I think. What do you think? Let me know down in the comments. Let me know down in the comments if you have any questions, if you're wondering about anything, or if you want to let me know how I'm doing. And until then, I will say, get it right this time.
Goodbye.
Goodbye. Thanks very much. If you're enjoying this, please do like it. If you are not enjoying it, please give me a thumbs down. That's also interaction. That's great. I'd be super happy if you subscribed. I'd be super happy to read your comments, answer your questions, and we will have more in the autumn year 1 episode coming soon. Thanks very much.
Thank you.